So, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my training on performance testing and engineering. So, in this session, I am going to give like introduction to load runner and explain the the training program and all, right? So, let me show you. Like I'll share you the scripts that we are going to do as well. I'll share this Excel sheet as well with everyone. So these are the scripting scenarios that we are going to cover in the training, right? So with 4 to 5 different applications, we'll initially start with WebTools application because it is a simple application, right? And then then we will. So here you can see the different application, different scripts that we are going to cover with this WebTools application, right? This sample application. So I already shared steps to you. I already shared how to set up this sample application. I already shared you the steps for installation of for setting up, and I shared the this sample applications, right? So let me know once the download is completed. Okay, Sagar, right? And I already shared this sample application setup slide. So here I explain detail in in a detailed way how to set up these applications. First one is for WebTools and the second one is for Konakart application, right? So we'll see this Konakart later on. So it will take some time. We need to, for Konakart, it is an enterprise Java application. So you have to install MySQL first and then you have to create a DB schema, database schema for Konakart. And then you have to install Konakart. We'll see, well, I'll cover this later. So initially, I'll cover this WebTools application today in today's session, right? So let me while the download is being, in progress. So let me give a brief introduction to Loadrunner, right? So I hope like all of you went through all the demo sessions, right? The 10 demo sessions that I shared to you, right? On performance testing basics, right? I shared 10 demo sessions to you on performance testing basics, right? So this session will be continuation to those. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So these are the important performance testing tools in the market. The first one is LoadRunner, which is a licensed tool, right? And the next one is JMeter. It is a popular open source tool. JMeter is a popular open source tool. And then comes Neoload. And we have a couple of other tools. So these three are major tools nowadays for performance testing, right? And then comes WebLoad, SIL-Performer, IBM RPT, Gatling, Locust, Grinder, and all these other tools, right? So we have around 15 to 20 tools in the market. So however, LoadRunner is pioneer in performance testing. LoadRunner is the first tool to be developed for performance testing. So it was developed by a company called Mercury, and it still has like 60 to 70% of the market share, right? So it is a licensed tool which supports like around 35, 34 protocols, I think, right? So it supports almost every protocol, right? So when I say protocol, what is meant by protocol? I already covered it in the basics, PD basics sessions.
Communication between client and server.
Right. So protocol is the communication language between your browser and server, right? Or client and server. Okay. Yes, everyone. So I already covered it in performance testing basics. Okay. Let me quickly show you that. So basically protocol means it is a communication language between your browser and server, right?
Okay.
Let me show you that. I will share this PPT also with everyone, right? So protocol is used for communication between web browser and web server and browser, right? Or else it is a communication language between your browser and server, right? So yeah, so here I explained, right? So when I this is covered in performance testing basic sessions that I shared to everyone. right? So HTTP protocol is a set of rules for transferring files. When I say files, it can be text files, graphic images, sound, video, and other multimedia files on the World Wide Web, right? So HTTP is an application protocol that runs on top of TCP/IP suite of protocols, which is the fundamental protocol for internet. TCP/IP is the suite is the fundamental foundation protocol for the internet, right? So HTTP is an application protocol that runs on top of the TCP/IP. Okay. So basically, protocol means a communication language between your browser and server. Is it clear? To if you want to define it simply, right? Now, so LoadRunner supports almost like 34 protocols, right? So it supports from legacy mainframe applications to rich internet applications to latest internet applications. This is the introduction to LoadRunner, right? So let me, yeah. So LoadRunner is a performance testing tool which was pioneered by Mercury in 1999. Means it was first developed by Mercury in 1999, right? Pioneer means it is one of the first one in the industry. That means like LoadRunner is one of the first, performance testing tool in the market, which evolved in the market, and it was developed by a company called Mercury in 1999. So in 2006, it was acquired by HP Enterprise. From HP Enterprise acquired this LoadRunner from Mercury in 2006, and in 2016, LoadRunner was acquired by Micro Focus from HP Enterprise, right? So that's why initially it was called as Mercury LoadRunner and then HP LoadRunner, and now it is called as Micro Focus LoadRunner, right? Because it is owned by Micro Focus now. It is called as Micro Focus LoadRunner. So previously till 2006, it was acquired by HP. It was owned by HP Enterprise. At that time, it was called as HP LoadRunner, right? So all are one and the same, guys. Like a few people asked, like what is HP LoadRunner and Micro Focus LoadRunner different? No, they're one and the same, right? Now, LoadRunner supports various development tools, technologies, and communication protocols. It supports various development tools, technologies, and communication protocols, right? It is the only tool in the market which supports such large number of protocols to conduct performance testing. As I said, right? So it supports around 30 plus protocols. It supports almost every protocol from legacy mainframe applications, right? What is meant by legacy?
Old applications.
Legacy means very old, right? So from mainframe to rich internet applications, latest internet applications, it supports almost all protocols, right? So LoadRunner allows users to test robust internet applications, Web 2.0 technologies, right? So zero should be pronounced as O, okay, right? So it should not be pronounced as zero, but it should be pronounced as O, right? So Web 2.0 technologies, ERP like SAP, etc., and CRM applications like Cbel, right? It supports Cbel protocol, it supports SAP protocols, right? And it supports legacy applications like mainframes also. Is it clear? Right? So it is the only tool in the market which supports such large number of protocols to conduct performance testing, right? And why LoadRunner? What are the advantages? It is not only pioneer tool, as I said, right? Pioneer means one of the first tool in the market, right? In that area for performance testing, LoadRunner is one of the first tool in the market, right? It is not only pioneer tool in performance testing, but it is still a market leader in performance testing paradigm, right? As I said, right? So it has around 60 to 70. Still, even though there are 20 tools, around 20 tools in the market, still it has 60 to 70% of the market share because it is a pioneer tool. It is in the industry from many years, right? Around like 22 years, right? 21 years or 21 to 22 years, right? Yeah. So this is like last year, I think that is those are last year numbers. It has 70%. Now it may be like reduced a bit to, but still it has 60 to 70% of the market share. And LoadRunner supports rich internet applications, Web 2.0. When I say Web 2.0, it means HTTP, HTML, Ajax, Flex, and Silverlight, right? So applications built around these technologies, they are come under Web 2.0, right? applications built around these technologies, Ajax, Flex, and Silverlight. These come under Web 2.0. So we can test these applications as well, latest applications as well. And we can test mobile applications, we can test SAP, right? And we can uh, test, SAP applications, Oracle applications, Microsoft SQL Server, Citrix. RT stands for remote terminal emulation, right? Mail, and above all, Windows socket, right? So, like almost every protocol, load runner supports almost every protocol. That's what you have to understand and remember here, right? And what these are the different load runner features. So, interactive user transaction simulation, right? I'll come to what is meant by a transaction. First of all, I explained that in performance testing basics, basic sessions. What is meant by a transaction? Guys,
Action
Business.
performed by the user.
Yeah.
User action.
yeah, any user action is called as a transaction, right? Any user action is called as a transaction. So this is database transaction, not this one. 1 second. So this is transaction in terms of database. Okay, not this one. So any user action is called as a transaction. Say for example, let me suppose you type gmail.com, right? This is one transaction. You have sent a request to for gmail.com, right? So this is one transaction, right? So suppose you enter your email ID or phone number here and click on next. That is one transaction with the application, right? Suppose you enter your email ID and click next. That is one transaction with the application. Again, you enter password and click next. This is another transaction, right? So any user action is called as a transaction. Or example, or for instance, like you type irctc.co.in. This is one transaction, right? And like you search for some trains between two cities. That is one transaction. So any transaction, any user action with the application, that is called as a transaction. Clear? Now, so these are the load runner features. Interactive user transaction simulation, right? We can make interactive user transaction simulation and support wide range of apps. And mobile testing, we can do mobile testing as well with load runner, and cloud testing as well, and continuous testing, and root cause analytics. When I say, see, mobile testing, we can test mobile apps with this load runner. We can test, when I say cloud testing, we can test applications which are hosted in cloud, right? And we can do continuous testing, and we can do root cause analytics. Root cause analytics means if there are some performance issues, right? So we can identify, we can analyze and identify what is the root cause of that issue. So that is root cause analytics. So load runner have all these features, all these mentioned features, right? Right. Yeah. So this slide speaks about the important protocols that load runner supports, right? And this is how load runner works, guys. Okay. Or this is the architecture of load runner. Okay. So when you install load runner, right? So you get 3 components installed on your machine, right? So when you install load runner, you get these 3 components. The first one is virtual user generator. The second one is controller, and the third one is analysis component. Sagar, is the download completed? Can we?
Yes, completed. Can I present?
Let me stop my screen share. If you can share your screen, we will install load runner on your machine first.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you can open that folder where you downloaded that load runner 2021. Yes. Yeah. So my installation is straightforward. You can just double click and so please check the disk space in the C drive before installation. Right? You go to you first check the go to click on this PC. This PC. Yeah. So yeah, good. So you have enough disk space, right? So now go to the downloads and like please check whenever you are installing any software, please check the free disk space on your machine, right? Yeah. So you can double click and start that installation. So before hold on. Can you give me control once, please?
Yeah. Okay.
So let me, this will be around like 1200 or MB like that, right? So let me. So this is the latest version of Loadrunner. Previously, they used to, previously the version numbers will used to be like Loadrunner 9, Loadrunner 10, 11, 12, and so on. From 2020 onwards, like they are giving the year name, right? So from 2020 onwards, they are giving version name as Loadrunner 2020, Loadrunner 2021, and so on. And community edition means trial version, right? So this is community edition means trial version. Micro Focus is the company that is owning Loadrunner now, right? And just double click to start installation, right? So please please enter the folder where you want this file saved, right? So by default it will take temp folder. You can continue with that. And it is extracting all the required files, right? So from the downloaded file, it is extracting all the required files. Yeah. Now, so yeah, see here. The following prerequisite programs must be installed before you can install Micro Focus Loadrunner, right? So it requires these software like Microsoft Visual C++ 2015 redistributable. So just click on OK. Click OK to begin installing these programs now, right? Click OK. It will automatically install that. It should install that Microsoft Visual C++ and whatever required for Loadrunner. It should Can you click on OK on that window? Yeah. So the installer detected Microsoft Visual Studio 2017 runtime installed. This product requires Visual Studio 2015, right? So Visual Studio 2017 should be compatible with binaries compiled. Cancel to manually uninstall version 2017. This product requires the Visual Studio 2015. Okay, so Visual Studio 2017 should be compatible with binaries. Hey, wait, man. Okay, that's fine. So let it continue. Yeah, click next. So here it is asking whether you want to install Loadrunner or Loadrunner Enterprise Host. We want Loadrunner only, the first one only. Almost all are default options. So you accept the terms in the click on the checkbox. I accept the terms in the license agreement. So other than yeah, everything is next only. So you'll go with the default options. In one window you have to unselect a checkbox. I'll tell you that. Yeah, click next. Yes, so it will be installed in program files x86, right? So everyone knows difference between program files x86 and program files, right? Click next. Install, click install.
Program files is used for 32 bits.
Right. So all
Program
the,
files is used for 64.
right. So this program files x86, all 32-bit softwares will be installed in this folder. Whereas all 64-bit softwares will be installed in this folder, right? Let's see the installation. So while it is installing, right? So, let me show you the system requirements. That is important actually. So, Sagar, can you type like open Chrome or some browser and type Loadrunner system requirements? Loadrunner 2021 system requirements. We should have checked this initially itself. Open a new tab. Open a new tab and yes. Loadrunner 2021 system requirements. Yeah, you got there. You got. So these are the operating system support. Wait. See their system requirements for full version of Loadrunner vision and analysis. So it requires Windows 8 and above, right? Windows 7, sorry, SP1 32-bit supported or 64-bit supported. Yeah, click on that Loadrunner README file. Let's make sure that I think this is for older version. Let's make sure that we are checking for Loadrunner 2021. No, this is 12.2, 12.02, right? So not this one. You can close this. Click on the first link. That system, the first one. Yes, this one. Or here you have 2021. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see which version it shows. So this is version 2021, right? Now, if you observe here, this document speaks about the system requirements. Okay, let me show you that. So it requires at least a 2-core CPU. However, 8-core CPU is recommended, right? These are the hardware requirements, guys, right? And like processor for UI level protocol, 16-core CPU is recommended. Memory 8 GB is minimum, and 16 GB is recommended, right? Available disk space, like hard disk space should be at least 50 gigs, and network card should be 1 gigabit per second, right? Hard disk, 100 GB SSD drive is recommended. At least available hard disk space, it's recommended to have 100 GB of 100 GB SSD drive. This is the minimum thing, right? This is recommended thing, and this is minimum thing, right? And those are hardware requirements. Now, how about software requirements? Means which operating system does it support, right? So if you see here, these are the software requirements. In the next page, you have that. Can you go to the next page, please? Yeah. So here you have, operating system should be Windows 8 and above, right? So Windows 8, Windows 10, and Windows Server 2012, 16, 19, and so on, right? So this is the software requirement for 2021. And you should browser, like you should have Internet Explorer 11 or Edge, right? And you should have a screen resolution of this much, 1368 by 768 or higher. 1600 by 1900 or higher is recommended. This is recommended one, right? And observe here, controller is not supported on display monitors with 4K or higher resolution. If your monitor is 4K or higher resolution, your Loadrunner controller will not work. Okay, so you have to decrease the screen resolution. Okay, so if you have 4K screen, if your laptop is 4K screen, has a 4K screen, right? So these are the hardware and software requirements for Loadrunner. So let's see how. Yeah, so it's about to be completed. So whenever you are installing any software, or whenever you are using any Loadrunner version, so you have to check this system requirement matrix, or right. So you should first check if you are installing on any personal laptop, or or any office laptop, right? So you have to make sure that the machine meets the requirement, the system requirement, hardware and software requirement. Is it clear, guys? Hello.
Yeah.
Suppose you have license for LoadRunner 2020 only in your office, right? You have to see first what is the system require. You have to check this system requirement document and verify, make sure that you have the required hardware and software or not, right? So you have to verify that and then proceed with this installation. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
The system requirement document is available on this Microfocus site, microfocus.com website, right? So or you can just Google it like LoadRunner system requirements 2021, whatever version you are installing. Yes. Yeah. Now it says like Windows Defender Firewall has blocked some features of this app, right? So you can just click on this allow access, right? So click on this allow access. Click on that allow access. Yeah, click on that allow access. Yeah. Now here you have to uncheck that certificate, the first checkbox. So it is asking for specify a certificate that will be used by LoadRunner agent, right? So just uncheck that checkbox and click next. Right. So you can check that open installation log and open readme file is already checked. Yeah. Click that and click finish. So installation log low, it will it will have like like it will have the complete installation log, all the log messages that were logged while installing the tool, right? So and how do you want to open this file? So it is asking for readme file. Okay, you select any browser, click OK. So click OK. By default Edge is selected, right? So it will open my readme file. So let me explain what is that readme file. Okay. So readme file consists all the information about this particular version, whatever version you installed right now, right? So this is 2021 version, and this was released in Jan 2021, right? And like what is new in this version? So is it recording? Is the session being recorded? Yeah. Yes. Right. So what in this section, see here. So you have a couple of links here. What is new means it provides a list of new features and enhancements, right, for this version, right? So readme file gives you all the information about this version, latest version, right? And system and protocol requirement. System and protocol means I have shown you that system requirement document just now, right? So it like let me clear this. So if you click on this, system and protocol requirement, right? So can you give me control once? Yeah. So if you click on the system and protocol requirements, right? So it will show you that system requirement documents that we have, yeah, this contains support matrix means 2021 support matrix or system requirements. The same document which we checked previously. Let me show you that. This is the same document that we checked previously, right? It shows you like hardware requirements, software requirements for this particular software, right? And in the same way, like you have LoadRunner professional installation guide, and we use an installation guide and known issues, deprecated features. So basically, this README file consists of all the information about this particular version. What is new in this version means it provides a list of new features and enhancements over the previous version, right? So if you click on what is new, it will it will show you what are the what are the new features in this particular version, right? What are the new features introduced in this particular version? See, this is a new protocol called DevWeb protocol is introduced, TrueBlend protocol, web protocol. So like here, like it will show you what is new in that particular web protocol. So what new features are added to this in this particular version, right? So you understood, right? What does README file contain?
Yeah.
Okay, and bookmark it, so that if required, you can refer to this in future, right? System requirements also, this is also another important um, document that will become handy, right? Now, so once you install LoadRunner, right, so installation is completed. I'm closing this installation log. This is installation log, right? It will log it will contain all the messages that were generated during installation, obviously, right? And once you complete the installation, right, so you can see like 3 components are installed on your machine. Can you click Windows D to go to the desktop? Windows D. Use the shortcuts. Right. So once you install this, right, so you'll get these, 3 components, right? So you get these 3 components installed. So here you can see, one second. So this is one component that you are seeing. This is one component, and this is another component called controller, right? And third component is this analysis component, right? So these 3 components get installed when you install LoadRunner, right? Actually, right? Yeah, hello. Right. So once you install LoadRunner, like you get these 3 components installed: virtual user generator, analysis, and controller. So let me check. Can you launch that virtual user generator, Sagar? Let's see whether installation is successful or not, because we face some issue, right? So let's verify that the installation is successful. Yeah, click on allow access. If this is, you get this window the very first time when you launch VUgen, right? So you will not get that every time. So yeah, so VUgen installation is successful. So you can launch controller also and see. Minimize this, and like you can launch controller as well. So if you are having 4K screen, right, so your controller will not work properly. If your screen resolution is 4K, yeah, this also seems to be fine. Yes. So you can click cancel and close this. All right. Right. Yeah. So let me, so I have shared the sample application also. Let's install that sample application also, Sagar. Can you open that, downloads? Did you download that sample application?
No, I didn't download it.
Okay. Yeah, it won't take much time. You can download that. No, I shared the Google Drive. So this is fine. I shared Google Drive also, right? No, that fourth mail. No, no. So go to primary.
Is
Yes.
this?
Yes. Yeah, that one. Open and download that WebTools 1.0.zip file. The last one. Yes. Download anyway. So you can meanwhile open that slide deck, sample applications for, you have that PPT, right? So you can open that. Yes. So go to the third slide. Yeah, so hold on. So let me remove this speaker notes. Right? So once you download this WebTools 1.0.zip, right? So you can, you can move it to some other drive if you want. From downloads, you can move it to, let me move it to, see which one you want, which drive you, E drive,
D.
D drive, okay. Yes, move it to some folder. Shall I copy it here?
Yeah.
Okay. So extract that zip file first. Okay. And once you extract, right? So this application is built, is developed using Strawberry Perl language. So if you want to run this application, like you have to install the Strawberry Perl first, right? Vikram, are you following?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So while is it installing, so let us extract this folder. Yeah, Strawberry Perl setup is completed, right? And let it complete that as well. Yeah, so it's done. So we extracted this WebTools folder. Now like you have the start server, a Windows batch file called start server, right? So if you want to start this WebTools application, just double click on that batch file, right? Now you get this window. So yeah, allow access. This is for first time that you get that. So you get this, like once you launch this WebTools, right, you will see this window starting the WebTools Apache server. So press Ctrl C or close the window to exit. Right. So this is not an error message. This is not an error message. This is fine. This is absolutely fine. Right. So go to that, now. So we are done with these steps, right? So we are done with all these steps. I installed Strawberry Pearl, and then I installed, yeah, and I started that WebTools, and you saw this command prompt, right? Now to open WebTools, like, use this URL. You copy this URL and paste it in browser, Sagar. No, stop presenting. Wait, stop presenting. Yes, yeah. Go to the third slide and copy that URL. Now copy from HTTP. Yes. Perfect. Right now you can access the application, right? So like this are, you should see this WebTools console running, right? This should be running. If you close this, you can't access this application, right? So this your sample application is ready, right? So like basically this is a flight reservation application, flight ticket booking application, with which you can book flight tickets. By default, there will be a default user called Jojo whose password is Bean, right? So you can see that in the WebTools folder, you can see that. Okay, let me show you that. By default, if you go to WebTools CGI bin users folder, by default you have a user called Jojo, right? So you can open this in Notepad or Notepad++, right? So this is the password, this is first name and last name, right? So this is the default user that comes with by default by that application. Yeah, so you can log into that application with that username, right? And you can click on flights button. So this, as I mentioned, like this is a sample application for for booking flight tickets, right? So you click on flights button and you can choose the arrival and departure city from the drop down, right? There are two drop downs, one for departure city, the other one is for arrival city. You can select any cities, and you can, if you want to increase the number of passengers, like if you want to book 2 tickets, you can give it over here. And if you want to select any seating, if you have any seating preference, you can select it. By default it will be none, right? And then you click on continue. So observe here, by default you will have tomorrow's date by default, departure date will be tomorrow's date by default, and return date will be day after tomorrow's date, right? So I'll continue with the default dates. So no matter whatever city you select, it will always display 4 flight options, right? So here I selected San Francisco to Portland. So whatever cities you select, like it will it will always display, as this is a sample application, it will display 4 flight options. One is morning flight, one is afternoon flight, one is evening flight, and one is nighttime flight, right? And it will show you the flight number. These are flight numbers, flight name, this is flight name, and departure time and cost, right? Cost of one ticket, right? So you select one flight randomly and mention the address. So this first name and last name are taken as the user is logged in with this username. So first name and last name are automatically populated, right? So you can give some state or zip or anything over here, okay? So you can give any data over here, it won't validate the data, right? So and also, like you can enter any number, it won't validate again. So here also you can give any expiry date and click continue. So this is payment details page, right? So once you enter your credit card details and credit card expiry date and all, so it generates an invoice, right? As you can see here, and it displays a confirmation message saying that thank you for booking through WebTours, right? So this is a confirmation that the ticket is booked from Denver to London, right? And the whose ticket cost is $301, right? And this ticket will also be visible in the itinerary tab. If you go to itinerary tab, this ticket will be visible over here, right?
Okay.
Able to follow, right? So if you want to cancel the ticket, like you can select the ticket, or you can select the ticket and click cancel, check the. Otherwise, if you want to cancel, if you have multiple tickets, you can use this cancel all, right? If you have 3 to 4 tickets, okay, let me book one more ticket. So this is the base application functionality, right? So let this time I'll give number of passengers as 2, right? And I will book a first class ticket, click continue, and select some flight, right? And enter some, enter any data, it won't validate as this is a sample application, right? You can give anything, any data, it won't validate. Right now one more ticket is booked, right? So 2 first class tickets booked from Denver to Los Angeles. Now if you go to you should see this ticket also in the itinerary. So previously we booked one ticket, now we booked the second ticket, right? With 2 first class tickets, right? Now if you want to cancel the only one ticket, right, you select that and click on this cancel checked. Otherwise, if you want to cancel all the tickets, click cancel all, right? So this is the basic, this is the functionality of the application. I logged out. And now if you want to, register yourself, right? So you have an option here to click sign up now, and you can, sign up by, you can create some user ID. I'm giving username as perftest1, right? And that is a naming convention that we follow in real time, right? Password, I'll give password as password1, right? And again, confirm password. And first name I'll give as perftest1 only. First name and last name I'll give the same thing. Right now the user is registered, observe here, and it displays a confirmation message saying that thank you for registering and welcome to the WebTools family, right? So it is displaying a confirmation message saying that the user registration is successful, and you will see that particular user in this users folder. So if you go to WebTools CGI bin folder, now we can see this user created just now, right? 5:20 p.m. This user is created just now. And if you want to see the password and all, you can open that file, and you can see this is the password, this is the first name and last name, right? And this is the address, and this is the city that I have mentioned, right? So, right, so you understood, right? So using this application, like now assume that you are testing this such kind of application, right? Assume that you are testing such kind of application. Hold on. So after once you register, right, so it displays a confirmation message, thank you for registering and welcome to the WebTools family. Once you click on continue, you will be able to log in, right? And it displays a welcome message, right? Welcome Perf Test 1 to the WebTools reservation pages, right? User registration is successful and login is successful, right? Now you can book some tickets or you can cancel tickets and so on. Right now the ticket is booking is completed, and it displays a confirmation message saying that thank you for booking through WebTools, right? Now if you go to itinerary, you will see the same ticket over here. Clear? So this is the functionality of the application, right? So you can do user registration, you can book tickets, flight tickets, right? So while booking flight tickets, right, so you can book a ticket for a random flight, right? Or else your requirement may be something like this. Your client requirement is something like this. You have to book a ticket for the cheapest flight, right? So here we have 4 different flights, right? Morning flight, afternoon flight, evening flight, nighttime flight, whose ticket cost is different, right? So this is the cheapest one, right? So your requirement may be something like this. Your script should book a ticket for this cheapest flight, right? Or else randomly one of them, right? Guys, in
Yep.
real time, like some users may book ticket for afternoon flight, some users may be booking ticket for evening flight. So when you are testing such kind of application, your script also should be in such a way that randomly, a ticket will be booked randomly for each of the flights, right? Or else some look for cheapest flight, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So we have to simulate that scenario also. So basically what we are going to do with this application is we are going to develop one script for user registration, one script for ticket booking, right? One script for navigation. So some users will just log into the application and just navigate through all the tabs and then log out. That's it. They may not be doing anything, right? So we need to develop one script for that also, right? There will be some window shopping users, right? They will just log into the application and log out. They will not buy or purchase anything. So Amazon or Flipkart, many times we will also search for some product, and we may not, it's not mandatory to place an order, right?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we will develop one script for just navigating through all the pages, right? You go to flights page, go to itinerary page, and then home page, and then sign off. We will develop one script for this, and we will develop one script for user registration, right? And you will develop one script for random flight ticket booking and cheapest flight ticket booking. So we will club all these scripts together, and we will do a load test for this application. So that is the like objective of this application, sample application setup. Clear? Is it clear, Sagar?
Yeah. Okay.
So if you are doing performance testing for, assume that you are doing performance testing for this application. So we will take what are the critical business flows of the application, or what does real users do with this application. We will develop one script for each of them, right? And we
Okay.
will we'll do a load test with all those scripts.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Right? So first we have to determine like what are the critical business flows of any application, right? Now tell me like what are the, assume that you are testing some net banking application. So what are the critical business flows of the net banking application? What does real-time users do with the net banking application?
Fund transfer.
Fund transfer. So if you
Balance
want to
check.
do fund transfer, first of all, you have to register yourself, right?
Login.
You have to create some user registration. You have to create some user ID for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yes or
Login.
no? So assume that if you are testing a net banking application, if you are assume that you are doing performance testing for a net banking application, right? So what you will do is you will identify what are the critical business flows of the application. So what are the critical business flows of the application? User registration. Next,
Login.
yeah, login and we will check balance generally, right?
Yeah.
Login and check balance. Yes.
Profile setup.
Yeah. Profile setup. Okay.
And fund transfer.
Fund transfer. Right. Again, in
Admin.
fund transfer, we have three types, right?
IMPS.
NEFT, RTGS, right, and IMPS. In India, we have these three different type of fund transfers. In US, like you will have like something called domestic wire transfer, right? So in India, we have this NEFT, RTGS, IMPS. Like if it is an US based application, right, you will have these are the different types of transactions: domestic wire transfer, right, and international wire transfer, and so on, right? There are different fund transfers, if it is an US based application, right? So, next, yeah, what are the other critical business flows apart from
Add
fund transfer?
beneficiaries.
Yes, yeah. If you want to do fund transfer, you may need to add a beneficiary, right? Add beneficiary. Yes. What else?
To check bank statement.
Mini statements.
Yes, we may check for bank statement, right? Account statement. We may download account statement. Yes.
FD, online FD,
Sorry.
online fixed deposit.
Yeah. So apart from that, you may do loan payment, right? Credit card bill payment. Use some, critical business flows, important things that we mostly do.
Setting the card limit.
Utility bill payment, right? Utility bill payment and all this, right? So these are the important critical business flows for that application, right? And we may we may do address update or profile update. Yeah, that comes under this profile setup section, right? We may update our address and so on, right? So now what we will do, if you want to test this net banking application, so we will develop one script for user registration and one script for login and check balance and one script for profile setup, one script for fund transfer, right? One script for adding a beneficiary, account statement, loan payment, credit card bill payment, utility payment, and so on. And we will run all the scripts together, right? Now, so with how many users we will be running, we will discuss that later. So user registration is a one-time job, right? So for example, if your net banking application has some 50,000 users, right? So out of 50,000 users, so most of the users may be doing login and check balance. There may be like around 30,000 users who will be doing this every day, right? Or some 20,000 users who will be doing that every day, right? And fund transfer, it will be done by very frequently, right? So assume that 30,000 will, some 30,000 users will be doing this, right? So these are altogether a different story. So then we have to run this fund transfer script with 30,000 users, right? So we have to simulate the real-time users. We have to simulate the real-time users when you are doing performance testing for an application. We'll come to this later. Okay. Now, so like as you install that web tools, right? So let's see like how to record a script with Roadrunner. right? Let me go to Loadrunner. So these are hardware requirements and software requirements, which I already explained, right? And when you install Loadrunner, you get these three components called Vusion, controller, and analysis component, right? So that's what you got. You saw that, right? So Vusion is virtual user generator, and controller and analysis. These are the three components of that get installed when you install Loadrunner, right? So we'll discuss this. What is this load generator and performance center later on? Okay. Let me start a sample application on my machine. And once I start the server, let me verify what if the application is working or not. Seems to be some issue on my machine. Okay. So if you face this issue, right, you just restart the machine. That should resolve the issue, right? So I'll do that later. Okay. So I'll use some other application, right? So I just want to show you how to record a script with Loadrunner. So before trying to record a script with Loadrunner, so you have to do some settings. Okay. Let me show you that. Vusion settings. Right. So I have listed out the steps over here, right? Before recording a script, like you have to make these settings, right? So I'll explain each of these settings one by one. So why we should do that, right? Later on, let me launch Vusion. I'm having 2020 version on my machine. Okay. So, there will not be much UI changes. So once you launch Vusion, right? So you go to file. I want to create a new script or I want to create a new project, right? So you go to file and use this, new script and solution, right? Create new script and solution. Now, so go to your, see here, by default, it will show you documents, Vusion scripts folder. The default folder in which scripts will be saved is documents, Vusion scripts, and by default, single protocol will be selected, right? I just now explained, right? Loadrunner supports around 34 protocols, right? So these are the different protocols that are supported by Loadrunner. .NET protocol, CV user, Citrix ICA, and all these, like you have around 8 protocols per column, and then you have 4 columns like this. 4 8 32 plus 2 34 protocols, right? Right. So it supports around 34 protocols. Guys, are you with me?
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So, how do you know that which protocol to select? Right. So, you will know that in the requirement gathering phase, right? If you have gone through that, performance testing introduction slides, right? So I explained that in the requirement gathering phase, right? Let me show you that. Yeah. So see here, what is the communication between protocol between your client and server, right? If it is HTTP or HTTPS or TCP or FTP. So we will know here in the requirement gathering phase, we will know what is the protocol, what is the application communication protocol, right? The application that I am using is a web, browser based application. So I'll select web HTTP HTML as my protocol, right? And I already created one folder for this in Vusion scripts. I created one folder called May 2021 batch. So let me create a project, right? So if you want to create a project folder, right? So if you want to create if you want to give some name to the solution or the project, you can give it over here. Suppose this is Web2's application, right? So as I type, that Web2, see here, it is displaying the so May 2021 batch folder low, it will create one project called with this name, Web2s, right? So you have to select this create folder for solution. And first I am going to create a script for, user registration. Assume that, I want to create one script for user registration, right? So once you select the protocol, right? See, by default, you will get some name here. Script name will be some default name will be given for the script. Observe here. I selected, Siebel Web. Say, for example, I selected. Hold on. New script and solution. Suppose I select, Siebel Web. Here you can see it has given a default name as Siebel Web 1. SAP GUI. I selected this protocol. And here you can see it has given a default script name as SAP GUI 1. So in the same way, if I select web HTTP HTML, right? So it has given some default name as script name, right? You understood, right, how this works? Based on the protocol that you select, it will give some name, name by default. Okay. So you have to, rename as, you have to give some meaningful name. So I don't want to give the default name. I will give as WebTools user registration, right? I'm going to develop one script for that, and I'm going to, create a solution or project, right? As my application name is WebTools, I'm giving the solution name as WebTools and click on create. So what is this? WebTools.isn. Okay, already exists. Okay. So I'll do something. As WebTools is not working on my application on my machine, right? I'll do one script with the JPEG store application. Or else let me do one thing. Sagar, you can share your screen. I will do it on your machine. Okay.
Okay.
Are you clear so far what we are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So WebTools is working on your machine, right? So go to VUGen. Yes. Go to File, New Script and Solution. Yeah. So select the protocol, right? So you have to select what protocol. What is the communication protocol, right? So web protocol. Your WebTools application uses web protocol, right? So yeah. Now once you select the protocol, give some meaningful name. Okay. Replace that web HTTP HTML with WebTools. Underscore user registration. Give init caps. Enough. Just user reg. Yeah. And give the solution name as your project name, nothing but your application name that you are testing, right? Give WebTools over there. And click the checkbox, create folder for solution, right? So that it will create a folder over here. In which folder it will create? VUGen scripts. Okay. In this folder, it will create in this folder. Let me annotate. So it will create in this folder in D my doc VUGen scripts, right? So it will create a folder with that with this name, solution name. Yeah. Click on create button. Now you can go to documents, VUGen scripts, my doc. I think D drive, my doc, right?
Yeah.
So you can go to that once. Go to your D drive. Yes. Documents. Go to documents. VUGen scripts. Right here it created a folder called WebTools. Right. In scripts it created a folder. Right. So this is the folder that it created. Inside that, yeah. Go to enter. Go to that folder. Yeah. And here it created a web. You see that logo, right? WebTools underscore. You see that folder, right? WebTools underscore user registration. That is a script folder. Yes. Enter that folder, right? And it created a script over here, right? And see there, like the last file. See the last file. That is a virtual user test file. That is the script file. Okay.
Okay.
And you see it has created from C files, action.c, user init.c, and user end.c. I'll explain what is the purpose of all these files. So go to VGen. Go to Vision. No, go tool. Go to the tool now. Go to the tool. Yes. Yeah. Now, observe here. So let me highlight something. So observe here, it created a, see, solution web tools, because you gave your project name as web tools, it is showing solution web tools, right? And apart from that, this is the script name that you have given, web tools underscore user registration, right? That is the name that you gave for the script, right?
Yeah.
And by default, it will create 3 actions: user init action and user end, right? Under actions, right, by default you will see this user init action and user end, right?
Yeah.
And like it will be pointing to action.c file. This is the main action.c file. I'll explain what is this user init and action and user end, what is the purpose of those 3 files. I'll explain that later, right? Now,
Okay.
so now how to first let us see how to record a script, right? So before recording the script, like there are a couple of settings that you have to do, right? So you go to record, recording options. Yeah. So go to HTML advanced. So I'll explain what is this HTML based script and URL script based script later on. Okay. In this session, I want to show you how to create a script. And under this script type, right? Select the second one. I'll explain that in the next sessions, why we should select the second one. I'll explain that. Okay. And click OK. And go to script, go to the next option on the left side, tree, you have script. Yeah. So observe there, by default, it uses scripting language as C language. Observe there, by default,
Yeah.
scripting language is C language. And see what are the other options we have in the drop down? JavaScript, right? So you can select as, you can create script in C language or JavaScript, right? Yeah. So let's go with the default one, default language, which is C language. And let's go to the protocols, the next one in the tree. Yes. Protocols web HTTP HTML. As we selected web HTTP HTML, it is showing that, right? And then go to code generation, the next one. Yeah. So here, uncheck that async scan not required. I'll explain all these options, okay? Later on, but let me, quickly show you how to record a script, right? Click on HTTP properties. So well, let's go one by one. Go to configuration, next one. Go to configuration, yes. And, automatically correlate values found. So that's fine. So we can go with the default values. Next, rules, right? So now here also we can go with the default values. We need not change anything over here. Go to HTTP properties advanced, right? So here, uncheck that generate web add cookie function, not required. Generate web add cookie function, yes, that is not required. And yeah, next, mapping and filtering. Yeah. So observe here, the capture level is socket level data, right? So apart from that, you will have, WinNet level, expand the drop down. You will have other options like WinNet level data and combination of socket level and WinNet. I'll explain this also later on. What is this capture level? What does it mean? And, I'll explain when we will use each option, right? But for now, remember that by default, you have socket level data. You will go with the default option only over here, right? And click OK. Yeah, and you can click, like other options, you need not bother about them. So we made all the required settings. Click OK. You can use tab if you are not seeing that OK button. Oh,
Can't able to select.
okay, stop sharing and do that. Stop sharing and you will see that OK button. Then you can restart sharing. Are you able to see that now?
No.
You are not able to see that OK button?
Yeah. No, I'm not able to see that.
Okay. Okay. So try to drag it and try to use the tab button on your keyboard. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, let me show it over here. Right. So you go to recording options and like you do this, right? Wait, which one did I select? This 2020 version has some UI issue. So I will uninstall this 2020 and I'll install 2021. So I already have a folder called Web2s in this May 2021 patch, right? So create. I'm directly clicking on create button, right? So then I go to recording options, right? So now here you can see, right, OK button now, right? So these are the settings that you have to do before recording the script. I have given I have listed them over here, right? So you go to recording options, general recording HTML based script. So general recording HTML based script, click on this HTML address advanced and select the second one, right? And the next one is go to recording options, HTTP properties advanced, right? So recording options, HTTP properties advanced. You have to uncheck this generate web add cookie function. You observe that, right? This will be checked by default, not required, but actually not required. So uncheck that, right? And then other setting is headers. Select do not record headers, right? So you click on this headers, and there are a couple of other options here. If you want to see I made some change over here. Record headers not in the list. If you want to see what is the default option, right? You click on this use defaults, right? So this is the default option. If you click on use defaults, it will show you the default option, right? So record headers not in the list. Okay, let it be, right? So and these are the options, recording settings, recording, VUGen settings before recording. Next one is recording options, general code generation. Recording options, code generation, uncheck this async scan, right? And let's try to record a script now. As I have to restart my machine as Web2s is not working, right? Hold on, let me try to fix that issue. No, it's not working. So I had to restart the machine once. Okay. I'll do one thing. We'll take a break. I will restart my machine meanwhile. Okay. I'll stop recording over here. Okay.